And hello. And you might think, who are you? Or who the fuck are you? And I might say, well, who the fuck are you? My name is Antonio, or Dr. Antonio Di Fenza. And I'm here to teach you something about art, which says what I'm doing, right? But how am I teaching you something about art? I'm teaching you something about art by having you watch me um, experience works of art and contemplate them and just think and vibe with them. So I guess the purpose of this is to have people learn to directly engage with a work of art and pay attention to what they're doing. So I have a very, I would say, like a mindful approach, or rather a phenomenological approach. So I'm not so much concerned with teaching you theories about art. You can have a Wikipedia or professors' schools, books, manuals. I don't care about that. I want to use art as a tool to self-clarification, which means we look at something, then we clarify our relationship with what we're talking about. Now, what kind of art am I going to show you? I'm going to show you a new media art. Well, what is new media art? Give a short to give a short description. New media art is that kind of art that is concerned with AI. So people that use, namely artists that use coding and as a creative tool. So there was a physicist once that was saying that we should learn to use DNA, which is basically our own code, to create life in the same way that kids used to create poems, which means we need to use to create, which means we need to use we need to use code to create beautiful things. And so halfway to getting there, we'll see how this works with art. Why am I doing this? Well, because I'm interested in the future of creativity, the future of AI, the future, and how machine creativity can augment human creativity and help us usher a world of abundance, a world of beauty, a world in which people don't do anymore repetitive, stupid actions and activities, but are educated and pushed, and then let them, of course, let free to choose. But they're educate people are. We will be educated to to pursue creative activities, which generate fulfillment, which generate meaning, which generate enlightenment, which generate healing. How do I know this? Well, it happened to me too. So I was lost, I was in the dark, but now I found, was blind, but now I see. So I used creativity very many years right now to lift my ass off the dirt in which I was sitting. And what do I mean by dirt? Well, mental illness and trying to figure out new careers and things like this. We'll talk about this at some point. And then again, why am I doing this? Well, to show people that creativity and machine creativity is a very important part of how the future is going to look like. And also because I want to learn as quickly as possible this subject, which means that the best way to learn this thing is to teach it. What's my method? Phenomenology again, which means we clarify our relationship with the work of art. And what is art? gosh, this is hard. Well, if I have to define art, I would use as beginning, at least, a definition that comes from Michelangelo. C14. Michelangelo. Well, what is art? You have artistic creation in the minute in which you remove the excess from a surface. Michelangelo likened the artistic production, artistic creation to the removal of the excess of marble from a block that allowed the emergence of a statue. In other words, as we remove the excess from the marble, the stones that we don't need, the particles that we don't need, we inject form at the same time and by the same token. And by injecting form, which we witness, we experience, we copy, depending on how we figure out our relationship with the absolute or whatever it is that we want to connect with, we slowly allow our work of art to emerge. Now, what's very interesting about all this is that Michelangelo's theory, I believe, is also an ontological tool. It's not just that we can use for ourselves. So it's not just about creating art, but it's also about a work of art, but it's about creating that particular work of art that we are. So how do we let emerge that work of art that we are? Well, we remove the excess. What is the excess? It depends. It depends on each one of us. Excess might mean that we maybe don't drink anymore, or maybe we drink less, or maybe that we don't sit too much. Maybe we learn how to stand, or maybe excess is to remove difficult relationships on which we are attached, but that they nonetheless generate pain or problems and hinder growth. So we remove them. And by removing the excess in our lives, we allow our existence to emerge as a shiny work of art to be told, shared, and to some extent imitated. This is what I think, and this is how I live and what I stand by for. So with that said, I will show you some art, some new media art then. And we will talk about two people. We'll talk about Refik, Anadol, and Memo Akten. And what I'll basically do, I'll look at a little bit of their works and jam on it. You see me talk, you hear me talk, and then I'll bid you farewell and I'll see you next time. I hope it sounds good for you. Well, okay, so let's share my screen first. I hope you can see this. Now I have to turn because I'm watching at the works on another monitor. So you'll see me a little bit sideways. So the website from Refik Anadol is this. Let's remove this. Okay, there is an about, an overview mode. And then we can pick and choose. And he's done a number of things. Jesus. I will not talk about people's life, what they did, because I don't care. I really want to focus on what they did. So one of my favorite philosophers, Martin Heidegger, my master, somebody that I think as my teacher, somebody who deeply shaped my thought in his classes, never talked about others' life. And why? Because he saw them as an interference to our understanding of the work. And why is that? Because oftentimes we use the life of an author to understand his work, but their work. But I think it's noise, and Heidegger thought it's noise. And and I agree with that. So I will not talk about the life of the philosopher, of the artist. You can figure this out on your own. So Refik Anadol, what can I say about this guy? Well, he's young and he's Turkish. He lives in Los Angeles. I think that's enough. And we can pick and choose from any of those. And I would start maybe with this, with the unsupervised machine hallucinations. And the page opens. And yes, look at this. So this is some of the art. He calls these sculptures. So normally when you go see Refik Anadol art, you look at screens, projectors, and they generate, they produce these images that move. And they are produced with deep learning, which is a AI technique, which I'm gonna say something about it at some point, but not now. The main point is that with deep learning, the machine, the model, the algorithm, however you want to call it, is generating on its own the pattern that you're seeing right now. It's not something that we decide, so to speak. So we saw. Why don't we? Here we go. Like this. Let's look at this. Here we go. Add a volume here. So I see shapes that change and turn into each other. One is red, bright, but changes. Now it's black and white, and red has moved to the center. And there are some geometrical figures. There is a lot of blue. I love blue. Reminds me of the sea, of the sky. What about what's happening on the right? Oh, looks like a microscope. This thing changes. Machine hallucination. It's interesting, the term hallucination. What is an hallucination? Well, it's when we see something that it's not there, right? That's an hallucination. But then what's the difference between an hallucination, a dream, and a vision? Well, a dream is what happens when we go to sleep, right? The things that we see when we go to sleep, but then we can also dream with our eyes open, like I had a dream, said someone at some point. And so what is a dream at that point? Well, it's the vision of an image or a collection of images that are not there. Or maybe another way of seeing this is that they are somewhere else. And where are the dreams? Well, maybe they are in your head, maybe they are in your brain, maybe they are in your mind, maybe they are in your culture, or maybe they are somewhere else to which you access when you allow yourself to dream. Well, what is the difference between a dream and hallucination? I think with hallucination, sometimes we think about some sort of decaying of dream, right? And hallucination is there is like a negative element in this, a negative connotation. And hallucination is yeah, something. At least this is how I use it. So dream, yes, a dream that could be prompted by drugs sometimes, and allow us to see things that are not in reality, like when you take mushrooms, for example, and all of a sudden reality looks like it's taking a different form, a different shape, or takes different colors. You have lights, you have funny things that happen before you, depending on how many mushrooms you've taken. Well, okay, not that I'm advising people to do that or anything. Don't do drugs. But with that said, so this is an hallucination. And then there is a dream. But then there is also a nightmare, which is a bad dream. So what is the difference between a nightmare and an hallucination? Well, I guess you have an hallucinations where you're awake, right? Well, a nightmare is either when you're asleep, but also nightmare is a very bad situation in which you don't really want to be at. It was a nightmare, like I had an accident at some point with a friend that was sick, and I thought I was going to lose him. And that was a real nightmare, although I was not asleep. Although I wished I was asleep. Anyways, what is the difference with all of this with a vision? Well, a vision is some sort of dream that we cast into the future. So while dreams and hallucinations are not necessarily something that we want to and perceive to have any relationship with the present, to suggest anything necessarily, visions are normally something that are connected with some sort of future that is about to happen. So how do we distinguish a vision from an hallucination and a dream? Well, a vision is said, so I think when then after the visual part of it, I would say we go and work towards the manifestation of what we've seen. So I think this is the difference. The only difference between a dream and like a vision and a hallucination and a dream is that with the vision, we go in the world and make it happen, or maybe. And Refik Anadol, meanwhile, is showing us how machines can hallucinate. How are these things generated? Well, the model is fed with many artworks, photos, and then a special algorithm is trained to learn these representations and create seamless transitions from a shape to another based on the previous images that were fed, images, work of art, and so on and so forth. So this is interesting, but I want to show you something else. Okay. Yes, this is very cool. Quantum memories. What is quantum? Quantum reality. Quantum reality is the realm of the infinitely small. And it's an interesting realm because when we get to the quantum level, the normal rules of physics don't apply anymore. And it's awesome because reality seems to acquire the structure of a dream when we get to the quantum level. But anyways, or not, maybe. I don't know what you think. So how long have I been going on? 20 minutes. So maybe we'll stop with this then. Quantum memories. Look at this photo. LED screen, NGV, blah, 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 blah. Then we have this, blah, blah, blah. Let's see if we can, these are documentations which we don't care about. And we are looking for a video. Look at these people standing in front of this beautiful stuff. Wow. Yeah. Look. Wow. It's how it transforms everything, right? Memories. Is there a video here for us? No. There is no video. Oh no. Possible. No, there must be a video. There was. Oh, okay. Well, maybe not. Huh. Okay. Well, what about we take a look at something else then? Maybe nature drink. Because I want to show you how this stuff changed. Look at that. Bam. Well, I must say that the first time I saw these sculptures, I was blown away because it was to some extent forcing pretty violently, actually, my definition of sculpture, which I always imagined as something that could be, be experienced in real life, something I could touch, something made of marble, made of wood, made of metal. I never thought about a sculpture as a moving structure made of bits, basically. But then again, if you look at so there is some sort of twist because there is a materiality of the sculpture against the the bits of the computer, the zero and the ones. However, if you look at theory of information, you come to a conclusion that the reality in which we live in is made of information, which cannot be reduced to zero and ones, which means that probably also the things we touch and see and smell and hear are made of zeros and ones, which really means that there is no difference between this kind of reality and the reality that we experience in a screen. With that said, this is a sculpture. It moves. Sculpture normally stand. I'm thinking about Michelangelo's sculptures, for example, the Pietà Rondanini, the Moses, and on the one hand, I would say that they stand and they stand still, but on the other hand, I would say they don't. If you look very intensively, the Moses, for example, I've had this impression so many times. It's the Moses. It's in Rome, and the sculpture breathes. You can almost feel it. There is some sort of miracle happening when you look at it, and there is like a breath, something that moves, something that communicates motions, and you can, if you focus, if you clear your eyes to really encounter what the sculpture is doing, that there is life there. It's not, and you can see it and you can witness it and you can be mesmerized by it, as I was. And that sculpture was made removing the excess, and I'm very curious to ask if do you think that the same process can apply with this kind of sculptures? Is there a removal of excess in this movement? You know what's happening right now? Who knows? Well, I must say that, let me stop this. Yes, I'm back. So I must say that Refik Anadol is a little bit of the spearhead of this movement. Says the most important probably person is making millions, and he's a little bit of the McDonald of new media art. Why? Because he pretty much does same thing over and over, over and over and over and over. People love it. Very similar techniques, slight changes, adjustments. So literally, it's like going from hamburger to cheeseburger to double hamburger to double cheeseburger to chicken burger. Like it's just a burger, but changes quite a bit. Very powerful formula, very insightful. Doesn't necessarily strike me too much for creativity when I look at everything that is done. And maybe you will disagree with me, which is highly encouraged. And with that, I hope you like this, and I will see you next time to talk some more about art, about new media art. So thank you. Bye. See you next time. Ciao.